Hi there. Hope you're doing well. Hey, I'm just checking in with you all. This is going to go to Jeremy, to Josh, and to Gio. This is related to the Andrew King situation, and I just want to give you a bit of an update as to what's happened over the last couple of days or whatever. So a little backstory is I received a call. Let's just say it was 10 days ago, I give or take. I'm not quite sure, from a woman named Missy Simar, who attends the church, the Assemblies of God Church in Delano, and it was actually right before Easter, and so I had spoken with her about a situation where her son had reported being in a sexual abuse relationship with Andrew King, who is their son, Tom and Barb's son. And Tom is an elder over at West Point Church, and Barb came to our church on the second Sunday of March, along with her son Andrew, and they were looking for a new church. I didn't realize it at the time, but what had happened was he had just returned from his treatment training at a place called Pure Life Ministries in Kentucky. And so I found out, okay, so they introduced themselves on that particular Sunday, Newcomers Sunday, walked through all that. Gio talked to Barb, I talked to Andrew. Andrew said something, when I asked, about his life or whatever, I can't remember how it all went, but he mentioned something about the sexual sin nature. And I thought, oh, well, he may have a pornography problem or something like that he's struggling with. And so I just spoke to him about that and prayed. I said, hey, could I pray for you? He said, sure. So we prayed, and he seemed like a very warm-hearted guy, good guy. The next Sunday, they were back, or that night, they actually came to, I think it was that night they came, or maybe the following, they came to the film that we showed on the Richard Wurmbrand scenario. It was really cool. So anyway, they were there watching that, and I met Tom that particular night, the dad, and found him to be a really capable, wonderful guy, godly family, etc. Well, then later I received a phone call from Missy Simar saying that this was a situation from a victim point of view. She was really basically just calling me to let me know that this was a very serious issue. And she detailed the scenario about how her son had been sexually abused by Andrew, and that Andrew had been sexually abused too when he was a young man, and all this stuff. So it was really a very hard scenario, very difficult one. So anyway, back to the Holy Week situation. So I found out from her right before Good Friday, maybe a couple of days or so before Good Friday, that this was an issue, and I talked that Andrew was actually a pedophile, and so I called Don Swenson and I said, Don, we got this thing going on at Riverwood, and it's a tough scenario. I explained it to him, and I asked him to keep an eye on. He knew who Andrew was just by sight and description, and so I asked him to keep an eye on Andrew if he would happen to show up at Good Friday or Easter Sunday or whatever, and he said he would. So then, in the meantime, I found out. I was reminded by Amy that she had seen Andrew having conversations with John Eric Chamberlain, and that set off red flags in my mind. And so I went into action and called Jim Chamberlain and told him, hey, this guy, we don't know who he is, we don't know what's going on, but we think you ought to know the background, because we don't want John Eric in any way to be compromised or whatever through this situation. So Jim took that to heart and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what has happened from that standpoint. Well, so um, after the Missy Simar call, I felt like I should contact the authorities. So I contacted the Hennepin County Sheriff Department, and I talked to two different officers there. And I made my police report related to the situation because I am a mandated reporter. There's a little bit of discretion on that, but I felt like this one needed to be reported. So I reported it, and then the officer said if Missy would like to do something related to this on a legal standpoint, that she could do that. So he asked if I would give her the information, his information. So I forwarded her the contact information for the officer that I was working with. So we did that, and then I wanted to talk to Tom King, just the dad, just to give him a heads up as to what was going on, what we had understood to be true, and how we were trying to process this now as a church. I've talked to you, Gio, about the fact that you've been through Safe Churches, I think it's called, training, if I got that right. And so we have an awareness of what to do and how to handle the situation. We are bringing the board into this because we feel like this is an oversight situation that we need to have handled through the board. Policy and oversight, it's definitely there. On the execution side, we have the staff who can manage the situation. But I had a lengthy phone call 2 days ago when I was at the conference annual meeting with Tom King, and it was about this whole situation. I had called him weeks ago, I don't know if weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, let's say, or 10 days ago, I don't know the date, but I'd left him messages a few days apart when we were processing this. I didn't hear back from him, and I thought, oh, geez, I don't know what's going on here. But he called me and said, I'm so sorry, I didn't get your message. I had not checked my messages in forever, and so I apologize. So I had a lengthy conversation. I would say at least 30 minutes. It might have been up to 60 minutes 2 days ago at the annual meeting in a back kind of hallway where I found a quiet spot to talk. But he walked me through the whole scenario with what happened with Andrew at this training ministry that he'd gone to. It's called Pure Life Ministries. And he said it was an incredible discipleship experience for him. He was there for 7 months, and there's an optional additional 2 or 3 months that you can go to that he did not attend, but he did complete the first leg of the journey. He said they went and visited there, and it was both Tom and Barb King had been in YWAM. And he said it was like YWAM except on steroids, and actually very deeply teaching around sexuality and bondage and all these kinds of things. And so he let me know what that was. And so I thought, that's really good that the guy went through this kind of training. He also said that Barb and Andrew came to that day, that first day they were here, the second Sunday, and they wanted to alert the authorities themselves, like that would be me and Gio, about the situation with Andrew. And so I got Andrew's situation that very first day. Gio got Barb's situation, her rendition of the first day. And so we've been trying to figure out what to do next. And so what I'm recommending, by the way, so what I'm recommending is this. I'm recommending that the three of you proceed with coming up with a plan. I would recommend that you go to the Pure Life Ministries website and you look at all 5 videos in their sequence describing what the ministry is. And that will give you a little bit of a backstory as to the level of accountability that Andrew is looking for over this issue. And I think it is really appropriate. The seriousness and the godliness with which they take this issue of sexual addiction and bondage is really, really favorable. So the fact that he has gone through this is really awesome. But I'd like you to look at all 5 videos. They run about 3 minutes or so each, maybe 4 or something, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile watching. It gives you the idea. Tom also said that this organization, Pure Life Ministries, is in the same region as the Noah's Ark Museum and the Creation Museum, and that they work kind of, they're not the same organization, but they have a collegial partnership with these other very substantial ministries as well. So I'm asking this of you. I'm saying, Geo, I'd like you to get as much material together as you can about the training that you and Tammy have received from Safe Churches. I'd like so Jeremy, you'll need to take this to the board and let the board decide what appropriate response would be. And Josh, if you will handle the execution of whatever the board decides, that would be great. I texted Tom last night to say that the board is meeting in a couple of weeks, and I was thinking that maybe you guys could think of something, could set aside some time at the board meeting just to, I don't know if that's too soon or what, but so that's kind of how I'm viewing this situation. And there's one other thing I wanted to say about this, and I can't remember quite what it was. But anyway, so that's kind of the gist of the situation in general. In my text message to Tom, I copied Josh on this. I said that we would like them to be online guests or online participants at Riverwood until we have this figured out. And so I have given the contact information to Josh for Tom, his phone number and so forth. And I did not see them in church today. I think that's fine. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to say too, that the attitude that Tom had the other day was absolutely non-defensive. He was not defending his son. He understands that his son has a huge problem, or had, whatever you want to say. It's a big deal. And he says, you guys got to do what you got to do. We understand. We're just going to wait and see what you've got to say. So they left West Point Church because they were not really going to be allowed to be back there. And that's appropriate, really, because of Andrew's situation with another young man who attends that church. That wouldn't be good for them to be there. So I guess what I'm seeing that's good is accountability. One man told me once that you can tell how much a repentant person is by the degree to which they hold those in authority, how they treat those people. Are they pushing against, or how are they doing? These guys are not defensive over this. They are wanting to pursue the Lord's plan for Andrew. And so that's what I'm suggesting. I think the plan that we develop, I would love to figure out a way for them to be here. I would love to figure out a way that's appropriate. I told Tom that we had already had two sexual abusers in our church, and that they already know what they can and can't do, and they've alerted that I was aware, and a lot of the board members and stuff were aware too about what can and can't be done with sex offenders in a church situation. So that's kind of the rundown. I guess if you guys have any questions about it, I'm around. You know where to find me. And I think this is really important. So please reach out if you would like. But I love you guys, and I'm hoping that we can do some hard work here and be God's people. And we want to protect the church. We want to protect any potential victims. We also want to protect Andrew from any stumbling at any level. We want to give these people a place to love and serve the Lord. So that's kind of how we see it, and so I'm hoping we can figure this out for everybody's sake. So, all right, well, that's all we got for you. Thank you. Bye.